Hey everybody, it's Cyborg, and I want to thank everybody for tuning in, liking the videos, commenting, and subscribing. If you haven't subscribed already, make sure you do so because we have plenty of Mortal Kombat 11 content to come. For this video, I'm going to be covering the 5 game modes for online in Mortal Kombat 11 that I would like to see most. Number 5. The faction system we saw in Mortal Kombat X and the guild system featured in Injustice 2 each had their pros and cons. I would love to see a hybrid of the two, taking the strengths of both to make for an overall better online community experience. For starters, I really liked how the guild system allowed you to create your own faction of sorts that you could invite community members to be a part of rather than the 5 factions we saw with Mortal Kombat X that were filled with tons of people you will never come across. I like the idea of forming a faction based on our community and then fighting to be the best in that faction, as well as fighting to be the best faction as a whole. So that's the main aspect I'd like to take away from Injustice 2's guild system. Then I'd like to combine that customization with the faction system in terms of weekly faction challenges and boss battles that we saw with MKX, with rewards for the top 100 factions for that week. I also like the faction battle system, but I'd take it even further and with the customizable factions, allow the faction leader to choose the faction kills and the roles for each member. I would also like the records and statistics kept for faction battles showing your faction win-loss record and a win-loss record within your faction. These are just a couple examples on how to make the whole system better in my opinion. The whole system needs to entice you to want to keep playing online, encouraging faction pride and competition, and offering enough reward and flair to keep things interesting. Number 4. Tournaments are quite common in the competitive scene. The whole Pro League is built on using the tournament structure. We've seen tournament modes included in other fighting games, so it makes sense to enable the experience online for Mortal Kombat 11. This type of mode could be featured in matchmaking with random participants, as well as something you can set up manually with friends as you would a King of the Hill. You would be able to choose the amount of participants, such as 4, 8, or 16. The first round of matchups could be randomly created or manually assigned, as well as several other options to customize the experience to the group's liking. Perhaps you have to choose one character in one variation and you are locked to that choice for the whole tournament, essentially acting out how a Mortal Kombat tournament would function. Or you can allow switching between matches like a pro tournament would function, single eliminations or double eliminations. Even an option for a random matchmaking tournament where each participant is from a different faction would be a really sweet addition. You'd be your faction's representative, fighting for your faction's honor. Basically, I would want as much customization as possible as it pertains to the options to really make the tournament experience whatever you want it to be. Number 3. A tag team mode, or at the very least an improved team combat mode like we got in Mortal Kombat X, would absolutely add a lot to the online experience. Giving players an option to fight alongside their friends instead of only fighting against them would help add some longevity and variety to the online experience. Don't get me wrong, one-on-one fighting is always going to be the core of the series, but allowing 2 players to fight another 2 players gives a sense of cooperation and teamwork that is currently missing from the game. Sometimes you and your friends aren't on equal skill level, or perhaps you just want to work together instead of against each other so you can achieve success in unison. Either way, allowing players an alternative way to play is very important. Now, I'm not going to go too much into detail here as I recently put out a video detailing how much I'd like to see a tag team mode included, so for more of my thoughts on tag team, definitely check that video out. Number 2. What is the most iconic mode beyond one-on-one versus that immediately comes to mind throughout the Mortal Kombat and fighting game history in general? I would have to imagine the answer to that question is the arcade ladder, facing a series of characters with the difficulty increasing as you make your way up the ladder, eventually culminating facing a sub-boss, then a boss, to ultimately be victorious. What if something like that could be done online, replacing the AI with human players? We discussed previously adding in a tournament mode, as we have seen in other games. I would imagine a player arcade ladder would require about the same number of online players that you would see for a tournament or King of the Hill mode. The mode would need to see all players join a lobby. Then the creator of the lobby would organize which players are on each spot on the ladder. For example, if there's one person that you know is the best, that person can be placed in the boss position at the top of the ladder. The one with the least amount of experience, they can be placed at the bottom. Then you can choose the player to attempt to make their way up the ladder. The creator can choose several options for the game, such as how many continues they get, or possible alternative options to make it more interesting. As I've said before, customization is key. One example of that would be if the player attempting to defeat the ladder loses a fight, then the losing player now switches positions with the spot on the ladder of the person that defeated them, and the person who defeated them now attempts to defeat the whole ladder from the start. You can continue this until someone is actually able to beat the entire ladder. Now that's just one option. Like I said, customization is key, so these are just some of the ideas, and I'm sure there are many more ways to flesh out this idea, but I'd love to see the classic feel of an arcade ladder adapted for an online experience. Number 1. Lastly on the list here is some sort of rendition of Shadows from KI. Shadows in KI are optional challenges that will periodically appear during the campaign. A Shadows difficulty level is marked with a question mark, as they aren't based on the game's default AI, but rather on the play style of real-life players who upload their gaming data to the Shadow Lab server. Consequently, a Shadows difficulty can vary from casual to pro gamer. Now, what does this mean for Mortal Kombat? Imagine being able to fight your friends when they are offline. Now, that may not sound like a ton of fun unless you don't want to actually talk to your friends, of course. However, what it does allow you to do is train against your friends to be better prepared when you face them online. How the whole system works is it would essentially track and analyze how you play a specific character, then your friends could download that behavior for that character and attempt to defeat them. If you find that your friends are winning more matches against you than you are against them, you can practice defending against their offense and getting around their defense. This allows you to play beyond your friend circle as well as beyond the randoms you find online, and instead let you try and face the pro players to really test your skills. There are many benefits to a mode like this, and anything that can help you train against actual human strategies and behaviors, I'm strongly in favor of. Add in a record of who has been defeated by your shadow and who your shadow defeated, and I think it would be a pretty neat solo online option. And those are the 5 online game modes that I'd like to see in Mortal Kombat 11. Of course, there are more game modes and features that I would definitely like to see added into Mortal Kombat 11, but those were the 5 that I'd like to see most. Now, I'd love to know what you guys would love to see most, as well as your thoughts on the suggestions that I made, so let me know in the comments below what you guys would like to see as it pertains to Mortal Kombat 11's online game modes. Make sure you like the video, and if you haven't subscribed already, make sure you do so, because we have plenty of Mortal Kombat 11 content to come. Now, if you'd like constant discussion with the community, we have a Discord in our description, so make sure you check that out. It's completely free to join. You can do it through the browser or through an application you download. We've got a thriving community that's always discussing Mortal Kombat, as well as several other topics, so make sure to check that out. On that note, take care everybody. I am Cyborg. I will see you guys soon.